financial problems, elder law, criminal law, tax problems, business matters, divorce, personal injury, bankruptcy, your life, your reality. Life is complicated. There is the law and there is reality. Welcome to Law and Reality, sponsored by THAV GROSS. Now here's your host, Ken Gross.
Welcome to this segment of Law and Reality. Today's topic is Chapter 7 or Chapter 13, dun, 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 a case study. Brian Small.
Good morning, Ken. A pleasure to be here. And the answer to the question about Chapter 7 or Chapter 13 is yes. And we'll tell you why when we get into the meat and potatoes.
And you're not going to say it depends. Jeffrey Linden.
Good morning, Ken. How you doing?
Good.
I want to know if we're going to stick to meat and potatoes or we have something for the vegan audience, too.
We'll try.
Well, and if we're going to delve into that area, what about the gluten-free people?
Well,
the most important people that I know.
Aren't
I don't know
potatoes
there's any
for
gluten
vegans?
in the meat
Potatoes?
and potatoes.
Potatoes are vegans eat potatoes, don't they?
Everybody eats potatoes.
And they're gluten-free.
Everybody eats
Wait,
potatoes.
What's your favorite potato?
Garlic mash.
Oh, I had this double stuffed.
Is this going to take all time?
Yeah,
It's going to take the whole show to get the answer.
Double stuffed potato with cheese and bacon the other day, and sour cream. It was phenomenal.
So that's your favorite potato this week?
It is indeed.
Okay, very good. All right, before we get into 7 or 13, just a reminder, 3-point retirement plan. That's the basics of where you want to get to. You want to own your home free and clear. Zero debt, some cash in the bank. I keep coming back to this for a reason. If you end up at retirement age and all you basically have is Social Security and some cash in the bank, if you're there and you own your house free and clear and you have zero debt, and I mean no car payments, no credit card payments, you will have enough income to retire at least comfortably. The problem is the vast majority of the middle class today and where it's going is putting themselves in a position, because pensions we know are gone, they're putting themselves in a position where even though they have Social Security coming in, they've got a mortgage, or they don't own a house and they're paying rent, they've got one or maybe even 2 car payments, and they've got credit card debt that they're making. If you add those 3 obligations up, there's no way your Social Security, whether it's you and your spouse or not, is going to cover it. So you've got to take that as a priority. And if you do it by 50, you can get there by 66, 67, 68. If you wait until 67, 68, it's going to be too late. If I'm telling you this in your 30s, it would be nice if you listened, but I remember enough to know that people in their 30s don't like to listen to people that they consider to be older.
Like you.
And all I can tell you out of my own experience is you're going to pay the price just like I did. People that are older do have information and experience that's valuable to you. Okay.
This
now,
is true.
Chapter 7 verses 13, case study. Let's just get into it, and I'm going to give you the facts, and then we can talk about it. Bill and Sandy. They got 2 kids, Ryan and Lola. $28,000 of debt, all unsecured. They have a house worth $325,000, mortgage at $270,000. So what? There's $55,000 of equity. This happens to be titled in Lola's name. No, check that. It's in Sandy's name. Lola's the kid. Monthly payment $1,450. That's taxes, insurance, principal, and interest. They've got 2 cars. One they lease $450 a month. They're current on it. One they purchased $800 a month payment. Bought it in 2021. Ford F-150. Fair market value is $18,000. The balance on the loan is 31 grand.
Now, people
And they got-
always say, how does that happen
And
that the car
18%
is...
interest.
Yeah, how does it happen that the car is so upside down like that? And traditionally, at least as I've seen it, people will roll negative equity from
One
their
car to the
previous
next.
car into the next. And their car payments keep creeping up and up and up till they get out of control.
So these facts are not uncommon to you?
No, this is a absolute, typical, normal situation that walks through the door. They're a little bit of equity in the home,
Oh, by the way, they're 2 months behind on
yeah,
the car payment.
behind on a car, struggling, trying to figure out with not bad income, right? Because
So their income, they're making $8,200 a month gross. They're netting $5,740.
right,
So yeah, let's talk about their expenses. So
Sure.
here's their house payment, their 2 auto payments, electric, cell and cable,
Right.
those expenses. Right now where they're at, their expenses, without their credit card debt, they're negative $180 a month. With their credit card debt, they're negative $880 a month.
right, so they're in trouble.
So they've come in to see the wizard of bankruptcy,
Oh God.
Brian Small.
So, first things clients come in and say is, I want to get rid of my debt. And I say, okay, that's fantastic.
I want to get rid of the car. I want to get rid of the truck.
Do you? See, this is why this is both
That's-
a Chapter
should
7
I?
opportunity and a Chapter 13 opportunity. If you look at a straight income minus expenses analysis for these folks, if we file a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, which they will qualify for because their income is below the median income for a household of 4, and their expenses exceed their take-home pay, we could put them in a Chapter 7, wipe out the $28,000 of unsecured debt, we could give back the truck, and they will be
So
cash
that's
flowing positive.
So that's a Chapter 7.
Yep.
So that's the kind of one and done. You file the
Right.
case.
Debt
you-
elimination. Wipe out your debts, get a fresh start.
So it's the fastest, quickest way to eliminate debt. That's what you're always saying.
right.
So that's that. Would they qualify for that?
They would qualify
based
for
upon
that,
this.
but they shouldn't qualify for that.
But before we get to the shouldn't, how long does it take them to do that if they want?
If we wanted to put a Chapter 7 together, the whole process from beginning to end runs about 4 months from the day you file the case until the discharge is granted.
Okay, so we're coming up to a break. That's an option. You're saying you've already tipped the hand saying they shouldn't, but when we come back, let's talk about 13 and why they shouldn't do a 7.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP. You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirschner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
So, how old should your grandsons be before they can spend their inheritance on their own?
Thanks, Grandma.
Yeah, thanks, Grandma. This car's awesome. Thanks, Grandpa. We got 2.
35. You've worked hard your whole life to create a lasting legacy for your heirs. Let Samasco Law help you make the right decisions to protect the ones you love. Samasco Law, protecting what means most, because that's what we do.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt.
Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
All right, so we've kind of explored the Chapter 7
So, yeah.
alternative.
Well, we did.
For Bill and Sandy.
And just so you understand,
It's there. They can do that.
They are eligible for a Chapter 7. That doesn't make it the best decision for them.
So if they do the 7, they've gotten rid of the credit card debt.
Right?
They've given back the truck that's underwater.
Correct.
And they can go out and buy a new car. Because they need another car.
Sure, but the problem with going out and buying a new car is they're going to have a bankruptcy on their credit. Their score is going to be in the toilet.
But you always say it's easy to get a car.
It is easy to get a car. I can send you to 6 different dealerships and you'll walk out with a car. The problem is that the interest rate will probably be close to 25%.
So it's going to cost them a lot for
in
the
their
car.
budget, they're only going to have about $600 available to pay for a car payment. At 25% interest, that's not going to be a lot of car, right? It's going to be maybe a $12,000, $13,000 used automobile that they don't know anything about. It doesn't come with a warranty. It's not
all sorts of issues.
It's not the Ford F-150
but
that they've
at
been
least
driving.
they've gotten rid of the credit card debt. All right, so now talk about Chapter 13. And you think 13 is better for them?
In this case, 13 is a
What is a
viable
13?
option.
Because I know 7, we're done and it's over with.
Right. So Chapter 13 is structured reorganization over time, where you repay some or all of your debt, some or all of the money you owe the creditors over 3 to 5 years. In this case, Sandy and Bill would qualify for a Chapter 13 because their gross income is below what we call the median income for a household of 4. They can be in a 3 to 5 year Chapter 13 case. So what we're going to do,
what?
3 to 5. They don't have to be.
I got hung up on the 2 too.
Oh, the
but
2.
he
Oh,
didn't mean
it wasn't.
2. He meant
3 to 5.
2.
3 to 5 years.
Yes.
I thought it was like
Between
3.
3
Sorry,
and 5.
I thought it was
English-
number 325.
English is a difficult language for me.
Words matter.
Yeah, I understand. So does punctuation.
Yes.
That being said, they can be in a 36 up to 60 month program.
Got it.
Okay? If you're above the median income, you have to be in a 60 month program.
Where are they in this?
They're below the median income.
Okay, so they don't even have to go 60 months.
No.
So how long do they go?
We go just until the car's paid off.
Okay, so tell us about how the car, what happens with the car in the Chapter 13?
So
because
here-
I owe $30,000 on the car.
Right.
There's 18% interest. I don't want to pay $30,000 for
You
a
don't
car
have
that's
to.
only worth 18.
So if you financed your car more than 910 days ago, this
It
is
just so happens I bought the car 912 days ago.
perfect.
So that's like 3 years.
It's a little under 3 years, but yeah. So if you finance a vehicle and you want to pay only the fair market value of the vehicle in the Chapter 13, you can do that if it's if you financed it over 910 days prior. That's called cramming a vehicle.
And if
down.
it was only 850 days, we would wait 60 more days
we
or so to
might
file.
wait, or we can look at it. We can still modify the interest rate. So,
But
in
not
this,
the principal?
But not the principal. So in this, in this case, if we couldn't modify the principal, and we could only modify the interest rate, it wouldn't make sense
To do a Chapter 13.
to do a Chapter 13. It would make sense to do the Chapter
So it
7.
would be one of two alternatives. Do the 7 or wait until you could modify the principal until you get to your...
Correct.
How many? 900?
910.
Does it ever change or is it always
No, it's always
910 days?
910.
Okay.
So in this case, Their vehicle is worth
Is that
$18,000.
910 or 910?
Yes. So if the vehicle's only worth $18,000,
Words matter.
we can change, instead of paying $31,000, we can pay $18,000 for the vehicle.
Okay, well, that's what it's worth.
And I can lower the interest rate from the 18% to what we call the till rate. There's a Supreme Court case called Till that said that you have to pay the current market interest rate plus a risk factor. So today, that would be roughly 9% interest.
So I cut the interest in half.
Yeah.
And I cut the principal from 30 to 18.
Yep. So now you take, they have a $620 available to fund a Chapter 13.
Where are you getting that from?
If they didn't have
Wait, where's the $600 coming from? You just make that number up?
No, it's in their budget. If you
Explain it to me.
They were negative $180, right?
Yes.
After they paid their $800 car payment.
Yes.
So to break even, they have 620. If we can take 620 and pay the $18,000 vehicle
with
at
the 9%
interest off within 60 months, Chapter 13 becomes beneficial.
Would that work on these numbers?
100%. And not only does it work,
It's less than 60 months.
it would be less than 60 months, and the unsecured creditors, that $28,000 worth of Visas and MasterCards, plus the $13,000 that they owe on the vehicle that isn't attached to equity, all gets wiped out at the end of the Chapter 13.
All right, so in this case, if I'm understanding you correctly, the only money that we're paying into the Chapter 13
Covers
is
the cost
paying
of the
off
vehicle.
the car.
Yes.
And what we're getting out of this is, instead of paying off the car at $30,000 at 18%, we're paying off the car at what it's worth, $18,000 at 9%. So I'm getting myself an $18,000, starting with a clean slate rather than doing a Chapter 7. By doing the 13, I'm getting myself a car worth $18,000 at a reasonable interest rate.
That is correct.
So that's a better deal than the 7.
Maybe, because in a Chapter 7, there's a different opportunity that we haven't discussed, which has to do with redemption.
Dun, dun, dun.
Not,
Wait,
this
I
is
thought
not,
redemption was
I
one
understand.
of those.
A religious thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, not so much. This is called 722 is the section of the bankruptcy code, and it's called redemption. When we come back from the break,
Well, we're not going to the break.
We are. We're going to the break,
No,
and
we're
I'm
not
going to talk about
we're
the
not going to the
secret.
break yet. I've got another question for you first, and that is, I'm still confused on where you got the $600, and how do the credit card payments work into the Chapter 13?
Well,
we're at a break. Tell me the answer to that first before we talk about redeeming your soul.
Okay. Actually, this would be redeeming a Ford.
If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If your daughter passes away before you, do you want her share to go to her kids, or do you want to go to your new son-in-law?
You didn't have to buy me a Ferrari.
Don't worry, baby. There's plenty more where that came from.
The kids. You've worked hard your whole life to create a lasting legacy for your heirs. Let Samasco Law help you make the right decisions to protect the ones you love. Samasco Law, protecting what means most, because that's what we do.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
Time for announcements. I want to announce THAV GROSS has opened a new office downriver in the Horizon Building on Eureka Road. So now we're in Flint, downriver, and also our home office in Bingham Farms. Remember, you can always come in for a free consultation. You can do it by Zoom conference, in the office, any way that works best for you. Just call 888-235-HELP or go to the website, thavgross.com, to sign up. Debt issues, tax issues, estate planning issues, business law issues, elder law issues with Pat or Kelsey, disability issues with Jeff Kirshner. Again, sign up at lawandreality.com or thavgross.com or just call 888-235-HELP. Also, if you go to the website, you'll see there's free reports. Resolving Tax Problems, The Real Solutions by Jeff Linden and myself. Bankruptcy, Is It Right for Me by Brian Small. How to Save Your Home from Foreclosure. Business Formations, Loans and Grants for Small Businesses in Detroit and Michigan. And The Retiree's Guide to Social Security by Pat Simasko. I want to thank our sponsors, THAV Gross, Simasko Law, Kirshner Law. Now back to the show.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirshner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV Gross.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV Gross today, 888-235-HELP.
All right, so we're back. So before you tell me about this redemption thing, whatever it is I'm confused. In the budget, you're not including the credit card payments.
No, because we're going to wipe the credit cards out. So we don't need to count the expense of the credit cards in their future
So if I had
budget.
a medical bill, a credit card bill,
Personal
a dentist
loan,
bill,
yeah.
personal loan, those don't go into the budget.
They don't go into the calculation of income minus expenses. The expenses that we're looking at are the ongoing, continuing expenses that someone would have in the event that they had no debt. In other words, what does life look like when you're debt-free?
Okay, so the debt is just, you calculate that to know what's available in your budget. To the extent your income exceeds your budget, that's the amount you have available to pay those debts.
Right, and in this case, if the client didn't have an $800 car payment, they would have $620 available to pay towards whatever debt that they had.
$28,000.
All we're doing in the Chapter 13 is manipulating it, so we're using the $620
to pay off the car.
pay the car at $18,000 at 9% instead of $31,000 at 18%.
So another way of looking at it is you're looking at the debts, the cost of the debts that you can eliminate through the bankruptcy to use to fund payment on the debts that you can't or don't need to.
That's a more complicated way to say it, but yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was easy.
Yeah. No, I would have to kind of vote on his side on that one. So what are you talking about with redemption? So you're saying there's another alternative to go back to Chapter 7, not 13.
Correct.
And we do what happens there?
The interesting thing about this is this client is a normal situation where we have to balance whether they should be a Chapter 7 or a Chapter 13. And a lot of people are cusp clients. They can be either one. So an opportunity that exists is something called redemption. And if you can write a check for the amount of the fair market value of the vehicle,
$18,000.
You can redeem your vehicle and get rid of the remaining $13,000 that you owe on the vehicle. You get to keep the car. You get to file your Chapter 7, and you win.
So suppose we had $100,000 in our 401k and we have the right to borrow up to $20,000.
That is a possibility. There's also a finance company out there, who I'm not going to plug at the moment, that will finance you to redeem your vehicles. The problem is the interest rate. You're not getting
What kind of interest rate?
anywhere from 18 to 25%.
So then you're back to the same.
Not really,
No, well, but
because
you're
you
only
get rid of your
financing
pay. You're only paying
18.
right.
But you're not.
Not
But
the
you're not
31.
paying 25%. You're paying.
Right.
You're not paying 9%. You're paying 25%.
But
So
that gets you closer back to maybe getting the nuisance of the time frame of the 13 away and getting the one and done on the 7.
you're correct. And see, the thing about the advantage of that is, if you do have your 401k, you can borrow out of your 401k or cash out if you're old enough, and pay off the
So
vehicle.
let me ask you a question. So when a client,
and your interest
when
rate on your
Bill and
401k
Sandy
is only like 6 or 7%.
come in and meet with you, you go through this whole analysis to figuring out what's the best play for them and saying, letting them weigh the benefits of the 7 versus the 13 and the whole process?
Yes. Now let me tell you why they still should do a Chapter 13.
Okay.
Because you can only do a Chapter 7 once every 8 years. And while this is a big amount of debt,
It's not a
it's tremendous amount of debt. The average person now is walking in with over $45,000 worth of credit card debt, and their income is just scraping by. That's a type of situation where you want to look at a Chapter 7 more readily. Maybe these folks, 28, still a big number, but they make a good living.
So you want to save that opportunity for the future. Just
You
in
might
case
want to
need it.
consider saving that opportunity.
Quick question. In our scenario that we just went through, if Bill and Sandy, instead of having $28,000 worth of credit card debt, had 56, am I correct to say the analysis would be exactly the same
Exactly
anyway?
the same.
Because the credit card companies in the Chapter 13 are going to get 0 anyway.
Now, I'm going to point one thing out. The reason they have $55,000 worth of equity, and you can protect roughly $46,000 with the exemption. That extra little bit that isn't protected is going to be covered by the cost of liquidation, cost of sale.
Like the 6% for the
Chapter
broker.
Chapter 7 trustee isn't going to do anything. They're not going to take any action at that point on the house. But
So
to
you can protect the house both ways, 7 and 13.
And 7 and 13. So opportunity.
But if there was
exists.
more equity in the house,
We
then
might
that
have-
would be
that's what-
forcing you into a 13?
That's correct.
All right, so if you look on the screen, we showed the budget at the beginning. Now I'm showing you the right column in the Chapter 13 to show you the things that you get rid of. You get rid of the auto payment goes from $800 to $620. The credit card payments go from $700 to 0. Your deficit goes from -$880 to 0.
Which is a
That's
huge
the
improvement.
beauty of the whole thing. And all you're doing in this particular scenario is using the Chapter 13 to allow you to pay for the truck you need at its fair market value of $18,000 at 9% interest, rather than being stuck underwater by $12,000 and 25% interest. That's a great outcome. Brian, thanks for the analysis. Everybody have a great week. Jeff, always fun. We'll be back next week with Law and Reality.